Hello, welcome back to India on 99.94, your home of Indian cricket content, whether that's via your podcast provider on YouTube or via the 99.94 app. I'm Nikesh Rugani, your host, BBC and SEN cricket commentator. Sarah Waris, my co-host alongside me as always, of Wisdom. Sarah, how are you? Busy?
Good. Yeah, very busy. The IPL auctions. Cricket never stops the IPL trading. India, New Zealand, just in a few days. So, very busy day. Yeah.
Yeah, post the T20 World Cup, and we thought we might have a little bit of a lull. And what are we going to talk about? But no, nothing ever stops when it comes to Indian cricket.
Shardul
So
Thakur comes to KKR. Lord is
yeah,
in KKR.
you're happy about that, aren't you? I saw you tweeting about that. The Lord has arrived.
Yeah, decent. Not really established with the bat yet. So, let's see how it goes.
Makes things happen, though. Makes things happen in all formats, doesn't he? So one to keep an eye out. We'll of course sort of break all that down for you in a couple of days' time as well. Once we've seen the full lists from each of those franchises as well. But post T20 World Cup, we just want to have a little look back, really, and not really a look back at the tournament. We've done that enough. We've sort of talked about the heartbreak of that semi-final defeat and all the problems that India have had, but just really a look at the team, the T20 international team that went to this World Cup and that has been the core part of the team in the past 12, 18 months, and just break things down and look at areas that India need to improve on, what strategy they need to take going forward, not just to the next T20 World Cup, but obviously in the build-up to that as well. It's not a case of we'll just experiment for so long and then 3 months before the tournament we'll nail down some plans. They need to really get stuff in motion from now or within the next 6 to 8 months, really, and then build towards that World Cup with a real clear plan in place. So we'll discuss all of that as well. Just quickly on the final, Sarah, England, congratulations to England and our colleagues Dan and Rory on the England on 99.94 podcast as well, which I'm sure will be dropping around the same time as this or just shortly after. They'll be happy, and another great performance from England, although they were made to work hard for it, weren't they, in the end?
Yeah, they were made to work hard, but the quality of England is just unbelievable. And that is an England team which were without a lot of their top players. They didn't have Archer, they didn't have Wood, they didn't have Malan, and a couple of other names that which I'm obviously
Bairstow.
forgetting. Yeah, they didn't have him. So despite that, it just talks about the quality of the England team. They made a plan to change their approach after the 2015 debacle, and they have managed to do that so extraordinarily. And relating that with Indian cricket, so to say, is just about the depth. It's not that there is a shortage of depth, it's just that they are not able to probably groom them or get them to the next level. Something is lacking and they're not giving them the opportunities. So that's why you are always forced to go back to the likes of Shamis, Umesh Yadavs, even the Ashwins, because this Indian cricket team somehow always, instead of going forward, they take steps back. Until that doesn't change, you won't be able to develop a team like England, where even if someone like Bumrah is not there, then you don't
Yeah, I mean,
fret.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah, England are clearly the blueprint of white ball cricket across the world. They have been for a few years now, and now double World Cup winners, the first men's side to hold both the ODI and T20 World Cups at the same time. A lot of fans from other countries will be hoping that only lasts for another year and England don't go on and win the 2023 World Cup. And, India, you'd feel would have a good chance in that because that's probably their most sort of, they're most dominant in that form of the game at the moment, as opposed to even tests. They're going through a bit of a transition at the moment, certainly away from home. And, playing at home in ODIs, I think that suits India better than any other format of the game. So we'll wait and see. Obviously, a long time to go until then, but congratulations to England. So looking at what England have done, we're going to have a little go at seeing what India should do in the next year or so, a couple of years in that build up to the next T20 World Cup. And they've obviously named a squad. Look, we'll preview the New Zealand series on another episode completely, but we'll have a brief look at the squad that they've picked and see if that is the future and if that is basically the blueprint for the next T20 World Cup. So, sorry, not long till it kicks off. It starts on Friday. I mean, a bit of a pointless
Thursday, I think.
exercise, isn't it?
Yeah, Thursday.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, Thursday, but yeah, Friday, I think UK. Timings are
Yeah,
always
one
weird
of
in
the
New
days.
Zealand,
Yeah.
especially when I'm watching from the UK. So, starts on the 18th, shall we say? Is that right? Or
Yeah,
17th, is it?
18th.
18th,
18th
right.
evening. Sorry,
So,
Friday. Yeah.
yeah, so basically, Friday the 18th, it kicks off. So just less than a week since the T20 World Cup has finished. A bit of a pointless series in my eyes. I mean, they're in that part of the world. They might as well, but why not just make it a 5 or 6 match ODI series rather than 3 T20s and 3 ODIs? It's a money making thing, obviously, but so soon after a World Cup to play a T20 series, I'm going to be watching it not with
Yeah.
that much interest and excitement. First and foremost, that's somehow some of the players may see it as well, right? Some of the ones who've been involved, certainly in the World Cup.
Yeah, the likes of Suryakumar, Hardik Pandya will be the captain. Obviously, there will be that disappointment, heartbreak. I couldn't get myself to watch the full final yesterday. I know, like, you're supposed to be, that's your job and you're supposed to watch the final, etc., etc. But just couldn't. I'm not over that defeat yet. And, all this IPL news and everything which is coming in, it just seems like, yeah, whatever, I'm just not over the defeat yet. So obviously, Hardik Pandya, Surya Kumar, all these people, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, I don't know why he's still in the T20i squad, but yeah, they would be disappointed. And quick turnaround, that's in the life of an Indian cricketer, I guess.
Absolutely. So that side led by Hardik Pandya, who, let's talk about captaincy first and foremost. Is Rohit Sharma going to be the T20 international captain at the 2024 World Cup? Yes or no?
I don't want him to.
Okay. You don't
Yeah.
want him to, but
Yeah.
that says a lot. Your answer says a lot about what we think might happen and what there is potential to happen going into that World Cup. He's 35 years old. He's going to be 37. He's not scoring runs for a start. Hasn't really looked like the destructive player in T20s in the last few years, based on the stats that we've reeled off time and time again. Hardik Pandya, is he the answer? Should he be India's next white ball captain?
Yeah, definitely. And what's more interesting is that, okay, KL Rahul is not in the squad. He is obviously the vice captain. But Rishabh Pant was in the pecking order till not too long ago. He was the captain against South Africa when the two teams met in June. Rishabh Pant is still in the squad, but it's Hardik Pandya who is now the captain. So, that's a little encouraging. I didn't really think of it before. Now that I'm looking at the squad, that's a little encouraging signs that, they have potentially, possibly shortlisted Hardik Pandya as the future captain. I know it's very easy to say that, he will just come in and transform everything, because many people were expecting Rohit Sharma to do a very similar thing. They were going after Kohli, that, he's not won an IPL trophy, he's not won a trophy yet. Just give Rohit Sharma the captaincy, five-time IPL winner. This is exactly what BCCI had also said. That he's a five-time IPL winner. Give him a chance, and we know that he can get success. So it's very easy to say that Hardik Pandya will do well, or Rohit Sharma could have done well. But at least he's a step up from KL Rahul, and he's just bland poker face expressions and all just doesn't do it for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with Rohit, obviously, he's had great IPL success, 5 titles as a captain, 6 in all as well. So he's got that experience of winning on the domestic stage in T20s. But to bring in a captain at this age to take over, you're not really planning for the future. It's like a stopgap, isn't it? because his career's not going to go on forever.
Yeah.
And if he's not scoring runs, I mean, what are we? Are we like England of the 80s, where you just bring in Mike Brearley, who can't bat but just was a brilliant captain? It's almost that mindset. Of course, Rohit can bat, and he still scores runs in ODIs and in Test matches. But in T20s, it's almost like that sort of Brearley comparison with somebody coming in as almost a non-playing captain. Has to play, of course, as a captain in international cricket, but just doesn't contribute anything noteworthy to the side, but is just there for captaincy abilities. And even the abilities that we've talked about have been questioned by us and by many over the course of this World Cup and the lead up into the World Cup as well. So, not perfect from that point of view, but it's encouraging, as you say, to see Hardik there as captain, Rishabh as vice captain, which is interesting as well. So you'd assume that he would be, one of the core members of that playing group. And they've got 3 wicket keepers in this squad, haven't they? 3 potential wicket keepers in Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson as well. We've been calling for Samson to be given more of an extended run in this Indian side. Now, surely has to be the time, because he's reaching that sort of those peak years of his career. He's nearly 28 years old. He seems to have found what works for him in this form of the game, and they need to just trust him and back his ability. If you're going to pick him in a squad, just give him a bit of a long rope and say, look, you go and do your thing. And they have to find a batting place for him as well. Where does he bat in the order? Which, there's a bit more flexibility with no Kohli there, because Kohli would take that number 3 spot. Or maybe Surya Kumar Yadav now takes that number 3 spot and Sanju Samson comes in at number 4 or something like that. But it's encouraging to see those 2 in the squad. And let's talk about the batting in general as well. Deepak Hooda, of course, was in that World Cup squad. Didn't really get a chance to do much. Shreyas Iyer's back as well, which is interesting. Has a decent IPL record as well. And Shubman Gill, an option at the top of the order as well. What do you make of those batting options, and which of those maybe would you like to see continue for a period of time, and is there anyone else also that's missing?
Yeah, just one more thing before moving forward on to the batting. You spoke about Rohit's captaincy, and there were these funny takes, not funny takes, but yeah, those takes going on that, anyone can win matches, win tournaments with people like Hardik Pandya, Surya Kumar, Pollard, and Bumrah. You don't really, need, like, you can't differentiate if someone is a good captain or not based on the firepower that Mumbai Indians just had. So yeah, moving on, Sanju Samson, there's been a lot of talk about how inconsistent he is, and just that he's unable to finish off games and all that. This year, whatever little chances he's got, he's been able to show that he's matured, and even becoming the captain of Rajasthan Royals, I seem, has just matured him a little. And if you just want to compare the averages, the numbers of Sanju Samson with someone like Surya Kumar Yadav. Sanju Samson, since IPL 2020, averages 32 with a strike rate of 146, and Surya Kumar strike rate of 144 with an average of 33. So, there's not a lot differencing the two. And if you want to go forward, you need people like him. It's not a new thing. We've been saying this again and again. And I just hope that, this is the time for Sanju Samson to now become a regular in the first 11, not in the second 11. This is still the team that's going to New Zealand. This is second 11. And I would want to see that, he's there in the first 11 as well.
Is it a second 11 though? It's a second 11 based on what happened in the World Cup. But going forward,
Yeah.
do we envisage Rohit being out, KL being out, maybe even Virat Kohli being out? I mean, I wouldn't suggest Kohli misses out, but he's maybe the only one that comes in. Who else is there in that batting? There's DK's out.
Yeah.
DK's gone forever,
DK's
I think.
out. Yeah.
So there's 3 positions there in that batting order, and people like Sanju come in, and Huda's already there anyway. So Sanju comes in, Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, all these guys come in. They're going to be thinking that we're the future now, and we're not necessarily a second 11. Even with the bowlers here, there's no Bumrah, of course. But apart from that, you could argue that this is the future of the bowling as well, with Umran Malik and Arshdeep as well. And just before we move on, let's take a quick break. And then on the other side, I want to ask you who missed out on this squad that you think should be playing. We'll be back in a second.
You're listening to Cricket's Conversation on 99.94. Whatever your team, we have the show for you on podcast, YouTube, or on the 99.94 app. We have India, England, South Africa, West Indies, and now Sri Lanka covered. If you want to find us, the best way is to follow us on social media at 9994DM by downloading the 9994 app or Google 99.94 on podcast. We speak cricket.
So we've touched on the batting there. I mean, I'm crying out for Prithvi Shaw. Where is Prithvi Shaw?
Prithvi
Right?
Shaw, we don't know. There were these journalists, journalists who would spread news through sources, and one of them said that they knew the reason why Shaw isn't there, and probably it's not cricketing reasons, but obviously he didn't come out and say what the reason is. So right now I think that's the only reason why he's not there. Shaw, and it's bizarre, to think that someone like Shubman Gill edges before Shaw in the T20 squad, because Gill still better suited to ODIs. Shaw has to be there, and he did score 100 recently, a very 200 strike rate 100 in the Said Mushtaq Trophy. So it's not that he can't, he doesn't have the skills to do it. Obviously he's very talented, but considering that, it's just bizarre. And overall, Rahul Tripathi also I would have liked in the team. His better format is T20Is, but he's been selected in the ODI squad, which again is a very bizarre thing, because it's T20s is his better format. He has better numbers in this format also. So these two are very strange things for me.
Yeah, very strange indeed. I mean, particularly Shaw, because at the top of the order, that's been the struggle, hasn't it, from India in not just this World Cup, but just going back some time as well. So in terms of the openers, like we've discussed, you'd love to see a Prithvi Shaw there, and you could even push Kohli up, I think, in the future, and then bring in Surya Kumar at number 3, which I think is his best position. It's where he plays for the Mumbai Indians. It's where he's had all his success in recent years. And usually you'd argue, right, in T20, some teams have their most important player as an opener, but a lot of teams have their most important player at number 3, who's not always just an anchor, because, people get lulled into that false sort of sense of, thinking that number 3 should be your anchor. You lose an early wicket, anchor comes in. It doesn't have to work like that. You can open with an anchor as long as you've got somebody at the other end who likes to play their shots, and then it doesn't matter who gets out. You bring in somebody like a Surya Kumar at number 3, and he's the best player in the world at the moment in this format. So it doesn't matter what his style is, he more often than not get you runs. So that could be an option as well. I think the finisher is a massive question mark as well.
Yeah, one more thing on this. We've seen that, if Kohli is to open, we've seen that, how he bats so wonderfully with the Surya Kumar Yadavs, struggles a bit with, he struggled with Rohit Sharma, who is another, anchor type of batter. So if you have Shaw opening, and then Surya Kumar at number 3 with Sanju Samson to follow. So, it's like a mix of someone who can anchor the innings right from the start, and he is paired against players who can just go after the bowling from ball 1, which will then take off the pressure on Kohli. So it won't be the wrong move. We are just to see if Kohli plays, like what his future is in T20Is. Yeah.
I think he should. I mean, look, he went through a lean patch across all forms of cricket, really, but T20 was actually the one where he was more consistent than the other forms. I mean, and that's where he sort of made his comeback in terms of getting 100, which eluded him for so long as well. But he's never really been out of form in T20 cricket, certainly internationally, that is, when putting on that India shirt. So I think he should. I think his best position is opener alongside somebody like a Prithvi Shaw, or if Shaw isn't there, then maybe a Rishabh Pant. They need an attacking player at the other end. But finisher, who's going to finish in this side? Is it back to Hardik Pandya, the finisher? Or as a captain, do you think that's too much pressure on him and he'll have to play more of a Gujarat Titans kind of role? I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose the advantage they've got with a side like this, they've got the option of, if they want to bring in Ishan Kishan lower down in the order, he could be an option. He has done that in the past as well. Do they go down the route of putting Sanju Samson there? Do they groom Rishabh Pant? What are the options?
Yeah, good point, because not only in this squad but overall, if you look at the IPL, over the talents that IPL has thrown, and in the last few years, there's not really been a finisher that has come up except for Hardik Pandya. It's more of these, the openers, Shaws and Gills. They were there in the under 19 squad, but the the IPL has thrown up more openers, top order batters. Even Rajat Patidar is there. So yeah, good point about finishers, because there's not a lot of finishers overall in the Indian circuit. There's Abdul Samad, there is Shah Rukh Khan, there is even Rinku Singh right now. He has a lot of potential, has been doing a lot. KKR have called him, Lord Rinku. He's the king in KKR. So he has very impressive numbers in. Saeed Mushtaq has a very good strike rate also. So it's not that, he's just a like random name out of the blue which I'm taking. So he's also done well, but they are still, not there yet. Like they are still on the neck, like one step below. So about
Doesn't
finisher.
doesn't I mean, look, Karan Pollard, I know he's played for the West Indies for so many years. He's getting on a bit as well, but doesn't he not qualify for an Indian passport now? Can we not get him in for a couple of years? He might be an option.
Yeah.
India never do that, do they? They're not like England. They
Or
don't
maybe
like
Russell.
getting people a
Imagine
new
having
passport.
Russell in the team.
Yeah, Russell. But although they've both been on the
Yeah.
decline, haven't they, as well, with their form? So I
Yeah.
think Pollard's shown a little bit more in the last 12 months, though, than Russell even. Russell didn't have a good year, did he, in the IPL? But yeah, an option. I mean, they can both bowl as well. Just get them an Indian passport if you're listening, BCCI. Just pay them what they want. They practically live there anyway for a few months every year. So
Yeah.
just get them in. Get them in. But yeah, that is obviously a problem area. But look, they're going to have to groom somebody. And,
Probably
I'm sure
Washington Sundar. That's the reason
possibly,
that he's there. But
possibly.
yeah,
He's
he's
more a
not a
He's more a
bowler who
lower
can.
order batter, isn't he,
Yeah.
rather than a finisher. He can, he's one of those that can bat if you need him to, but you don't want to rely on him to be at 5-6 and finishing innings. Yeah,
No,
batting,
just one
lots
more
of
thing,
conundrums.
Yeah, just one more thing. Going through the squad and looking at what the 11 can look like, I think um yeah, it's just, I think India will still again have a problem with finishing. Like, who is the finisher? There is Pant, but then Pant is, he can't go after. He's not a finisher. Hardik Pandya has adopted more of an anchor's role. So who is that finisher? Yeah, it's
Well,
yeah,
it looks like Rishabh Pant is going to have to battle down the order, I think. I don't think they're going to open with him. And if he
yeah,
doesn't come in the top three, then he has to be a finisher, doesn't he? There's no point in putting him in at 4, I don't think, necessarily, because you've got better
yeah.
players there who could be at 4.
Shreyas Iyer also. Yeah.
Shreyas Iyer and Deepak Hooda, they should all be in the top 4, really, if they are going to play. So, yeah, lots of conundrums. We'll wait and see. We'll take another short break here, and off the back of that, we'll discuss the bowling options.
If you love the language of cricket and want more, then head over to the 99.94 app and you can hear all of our podcasts and cricket commentary. We're adding new shows all the time and covering cricket series from all over the world. Be the first to hear all of our announcements by following us on social media at 9994DM. Welcome to Cricket's Conversation.
So bowling then, I mean, obviously India have been missing Jasprit Bumrah, and they will pray and hope that he gets back to fitness and form very soon indeed across all formats, really. So he'll be a shoo-in in the T20 side as soon as he comes back. I'm really excited that Umran Malik is in this squad for New Zealand. I just want to see him given a good run, because now, look, T20 internationals, not quite as important over the next few months, really, as they have been in the run-up to both of these World Cups. There's now a bit of a break, a year's break before the next one. It's all about the ODI World Cup in 23. So just give him a run, just coach the hell out of him, and not overcoach him, but mentor him. If that's probably the better word. Just he needs a good mentor within that Indian camp to put an arm around him and say, "You're my guy. Just go out and bowl as quick as you can." And then obviously the bowling coach can tweak things and come up with plans and all that kind of stuff. He's there. Bhuvi's still there. Is that a concern for you? Because he'll be 34, nearly 35 by the time the next World Cup comes about. Is he still the answer? I mean, he can swing it when it's swinging, but I don't know. He just doesn't strike fear into sides like you'd like your opening bowlers to do.
Yeah, even I'm surprised that he's there, honestly, because I think it's, if you're making a squad for the future, then as many players as you can, get in, then make a squad for the future. And it's not that India don't have options in the fast bowling department. They have Siraj, who's there, Umran Malik is there. Even IPL has thrown up a lot of talented players, like Mohsin Khan is there. There's Khalil Ahmed also. He was with the Indian team, but just couldn't retain his place, but he's been doing well in domestic cricket. There's Kuldeep Sen also. Kuldeep Sen has really impressed Ian Bishop, so he is there. And there's always Ishan Porel is also there. He's a fast, like he was even ahead of someone like Arshdeep. Arshdeep didn't. He was in the under 19 squad for 2018, and Ishan Porel was the star for India in the tournament, the same tournament where even Arshdeep was there, but he didn't play many games. So that's why, it makes the journey of Arshdeep even more encouraging. That, yeah, but I am losing track. But there's Kuldeep Sen.
There's lots of
Prasidh
options.
Krishna is also there. Yeah, so
yes,
it's not that
Prasidh,
yeah.
Prasidh has got that extra pace as well when he cranks it up. But not in this squad. So that's another.
I think he's injured
question
right now. So that's
okay. So that's probably why he's not there. But Harshal Patel is there. I mean, Siraj is there, right? And people, it's amazing, isn't it, that Siraj becomes a better player when he's not selected in India teams, because people just say, well, Siraj should have been playing. But then when he plays, he's brilliant in Test cricket, I think. But in T20s, really, is he the future? I don't know. He'll be 30 years old by the time that World Cup comes as well. So these are not young men we're talking about who you've got time to groom, and he's been at the peak of his career. He's at the peak of his career now. He should be the finished article, really, as a bowler, nearly 29 years old. So I don't know if he's the answer. Harshal Patel, he's going to be, I mean, we talk about age, but he's going to be 33, nearly very close to 34. He's very nearly 32 at the moment. So he's going to be around the 34 mark as well. He's not really, established himself in this form of the game either internationally. So now's the time to get these younger guys in. I just hope Umran Malik rips it up down in New Zealand, and we get to see some exciting fast bowling from him, because apart from that, there's no real inspiration in their selections for fast bowling. And even with the spinners, I like that Kuldeep Yadav is back. And by the way, I'm quite surprised to learn that Kuldeep Yadav's still only 27 years old.
Yeah.
And Yuzi Chahal's 32. I mean, Chahal looks and acts like a 12-year-old at times, but but it's good to see the spin twins back, and hopefully we get to see them bowl in tandem, because I think it worked, didn't it? For a couple of years, it really did work. And then that 2017 Champions Trophy it was after the Champions Trophy final. So that happened. And then a couple of years they were together, weren't they, for 18 and 19 and the end part of 17 as well. And they formed a really good partnership. Two wrist spinners, which means you're not relying on conditions. I mean, finger spinners are very dodgy in this form of the game anyway, because they're just hittable. You know, the off spinner, right-handers are going to get after you. Slow left arm, left-handers are going to get after you. It's just how it happens, really, unless you've got some mystery and you're a Sunil Narayan or something like that. You've got that mystery sort of finger spin. It's going to be very difficult for you to be successful in this form. So two wrist spinners, I like that. And I like that Kuldeep, I found out that he's younger than, I thought he was about 29, maybe nearly 30, but he's 27.
Rashid Khan is 24, so...
Well, supposedly.
Yeah.
in Shahid Afridi years, let's say,
Yeah.
right? He must have had a tough childhood. Or, you know, a lot of people did in that part of the world, unfortunately. So he looks a lot older, is all I'm saying, than what he is. But yeah, he's not far off Rashid Khan's age then, just 3 years his senior. But he's got a long time left, is what I'm saying. And I think it's so impressive how Kuldeep Yadav came back in the last season of the IPL and performed, because he was down and out. He was the only player in that historic test series down under where India won at the Gabba and all those famous scenes. And he was the only one in that squad. I mean, they were on their knees. You know, Washington Sundar was playing test cricket in Australia. T. Natarajan, who was there as a net bowler, was playing a test match in Australia. They'd had no one. I mean, you know, it was almost getting to the stage where they were going to have to ask, Raghu, the throwdown specialist, to come and bowl in a test match. You know, they literally had no players left by the end of that. Yet, Kuldeep Yadav was the only one who didn't get picked. And that, I mean, I felt that was harsh at the time. It worked out well, of course, and India got that victory. But imagine what that would have done to him as a person and his ego and all that kind of stuff, because he was the favourite. He was in there in white ball cricket as an automatic selection. And out of him and Chahal, he was the one who made that transition into test cricket as well. And then to be dropped from that to then for the home series against England to be dropped completely and dropped from white ball cricket and even dropped from his IPL franchise as well. So for him to come back the way he has been brilliant. And I hope that they can keep him in and around the squad, because we saw, didn't we, in Australia, how crucial it is to have good quality wrist spinners playing in your 11, right?
Yeah. Also with Kuldeep Yadav, I don't know if you remember but after the 2018 Border Gavaskar Trophy, Ravi Shastri was like, he's a number one spinner overseas. And after that, I think they went to England and he didn't play a single game. And I don't think he's played a single overseas game after that, which again, Indian cricket and their weird things, contradictory things. So good that he is back, but are you surprised that Akshar Patel is not there? I don't think he'll be rested if Bhuvneshwar Kumar is there. Should he come back? And also we forgot to mention Rahul Tewatia in our finishers / all-rounders / spin bowling option, whatever you can call him. So Rahul Tewatia, he failed the yo-yo test. He was in India's squad for England last year, I think. And about Akshar Patel, do you see him having a future with the Indian team?
I think with Akshar Patel it's interesting. I think a lot with him depends. He's a wonderful cricketer. He's not right for Australian conditions with the ball. So that's the reason why I felt he shouldn't have really been in that squad for this particular T20 World Cup, or certainly not in the 11 as much as he was, just because Aussie conditions, it just sits up nicely, the way he bowls. If you're playing in the subcontinent, I think he's a fantastic man to have in your squad. So it will be an option in both ODIs and, they may even look at him for the 23 ODI World Cup as well, just to have him in the squad at least, because of all the success he's had with the ball in that part of the world and at home in those conditions. So I don't think it's finished for him. I think he's still a young enough man, so it kind of depends where they're playing at the time, and that will come into it. I thought we should do anyway. And Tewatia, for a start, yo-yo tests are stupid and shouldn't exist. there should be an overall sort of fitness standard, but to have something so objective that this is the yo-yo test, you need to score this, otherwise you're not fit. You know, there's such a thing as cricket fitness. Would Sachin Tendulkar, I'm not saying Tendulkar wasn't a fit guy, but would Sachin Tendulkar of 1996 have passed a yo-yo test? No.
Does
Would
Rohit
Sourav
Sharma of 2022 pass the yo-yo
Well,
test?
exactly. Yeah. So, but he's the captain, right? So they're probably using a different metric with him. So there's, you know, even now, yeah, Rohit Sharma. I mean, you got Ganguly and all these guys. Do you really think Ganguly looked like he was Bambi on ice sometimes when he was chasing balls in the outfield? It just, none of them would have, you know, VVS Lakshman could barely stand for like the second half of his career. He's not going to pass a yo-yo test, is he? But when it comes to batting for 7 hours in a test match, he could do that. That's the difference, right? These guys can do it. Even with the bowlers. Yes, you've got to have certain fitness standards, but there's such a thing as cricket fitness as well. It's completely different. It's like me, where I used to play and I used to be able to bat for hours and, you know, non-stop. And if I wasn't playing in a match, I could net for like 6 hours just batting. You know, you'd obviously have breaks in between, but you could spend a whole day just batting in the nets and keep going and keep doing that and keep doing that. If you asked me to run 2 miles down the road, I couldn't do that. You know, just find it hard running for that amount of time. There's different, you know, it's different having cricket fitness and just being a supreme, you know, athlete that is ready for the Olympics. So I don't like that, and that's a great option, Rahul Tewatia. I mean, what a guy, what a rock star. I called him on the cricket commentary that we do on the IPL on the BBC. The first time last season, where I think it was he and Miller who finished a game for Gujarat. I can't remember. They did it so many times last year. I can't remember which, but it was the first instance. And I said, you know, I think they were playing against Chennai as well. So I must have made a remark about Jadeja being called the rock star during the game by Shane Warne and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end, when Tewatia won it for them, no, just before he was going to win it for them, I said, look, he can bat a bit, he can bowl a bit, but he's like, if Jadeja's the rock star, he's like the pound shop rock star, or, you know, the low budget rock star, basically. You know, basically like the copy, the Chinese version, whatever you want to look at it as. But he ended up winning that game, and I had to eat my words, and he kept doing it throughout the tournament. And he can bowl as well. He's that batter that gives you a potential. Yeah, he's left-handed. He gives you that bowling option. He's got great facial hair. It's not particularly groomed. He's rough and ready. Doesn't care too much about his appearance and all that. He just rolls his sleeves up, gets the job done, does what's asked of him. And he's potentially got his IPL captain now as the future captain of India. I mean, it's a match made in heaven, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, I hope that he's given a run. Just before, one more very interesting point which I had was what separates, like, maybe I should have brought this out earlier when we were talking about England, but the main difference between the England team and the Indian team is that, you know, the lack of all-rounders. Indians just don't have any, like, top 6, top 7, you look at it, they just can't bat, and none of the bowlers, none of the batters can bowl, and none of the bowlers can bat, which is why the whole, you know, dilemma over Akshar Patel's place. You know, they were a batsman short in the entire tournament. Ashwin was there, otherwise they could have picked up Chahal. And even the youngsters which are coming up, probably, you know, it's like, you know, even the Gaikwads, the Gale Shaws, even Shreyas Iyer, they don't bowl. And it looks like none of the bowlers have actually improved their batting also, except for Bumrah. You might say Shami pitches in with a knock here and there. So Umran Malik, I hear, is, you know, improving his batting, so that's encouraging. But overall, you know, I think that's a major issue which India need to address going forward too.
Yeah, I mean, India used to have a team of top order batters who could bowl, right? Ganguly, Tendulkar, Sehwag, you know, all these guys. Suresh Raina, when he came in, Yuvraj Singh turned into a proper all-rounder by the end of it in white ball cricket. So those days ago. I mean, even in this side, right? Who's the last person to take a wicket for India in a T20 World Cup semi-final? Virat
Virat
Kohli.
Kohli. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he can bowl. Why do these people not concentrate on their bowling? Rohit Sharma, you know, when he came onto the scene, was a useful off spinner. Not that
Yeah.
he's going to bowl you 4 overs in every match, but he could pitch in with an over here and there. Why does he not work on his? Can they not be bothered? You know, these are useful things to have, not just in
Maybe
T20s,
the
but in an
fear
ODI
of
side or
injury. Yeah.
what, bowling some dibbly-dobbly off spinners. I mean, come on, you're
I
not
don't
running
know.
in bowling
Yeah.
fast. The Hardik Pandya should be concerned about injury, but he's come back and made sure that he's bowling, and that's, you know, that's such an important part of India's side now and India's whole setup. And you know, he's the future now, basically, because he can bowl again. If he was just Hardik the batter, we'd be maybe questioning, you know, his side in the format, although he had a good World Cup. Wasn't outstanding with the bat, but the fact he can bowl as well just adds so much. Just finally, I mean, you're right, England have got all those problems. India need to sort them out. England have also got 2 separate coaches.
Yeah.
Is Rahul Dravid's place, just quickly, under threat as a white ball coach? Do you think it should be?
Yeah, it should be. Because Indian cricket last year, there were all these talks of how we are going to take it forward, how, you know, that it was just a blip, the first round exit was a blip, etc., etc., how they're going to, you know, transform the new era. It was called the new era, you know, Rohit and Rahul, the new era. But it's almost like how the openers have gone, Rohit and Rahul, the openers have gone similar to how Rohit, Rahul, the captain and coach, have gone. Just don't have any answers, keep going back on their word, keep picking players they had said that aren't in contention anymore. And currently it's like there's no team for the future. It's like, okay, what is the future? Like, it's like you have to start from ground zero again, because it's just a mess right now. I got a lot of criticism for an article I wrote that, you know, Indian cricket is in a bigger mess than it was a year ago. But that's true, you know, because they went back to Umesh Yadav, they picked Shami, they picked Dinesh Karthik, all for short-term answers, but there are no long-term answers right now, which I can see.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I think Dravid is a wonderful man, and I think he's, you know, what he did at the academy was brilliant. Maybe they should just let him concentrate on Test cricket, and that was his strongest format as a player anyway.
Yeah.
I know he was still a very good ODI player in his day as well, but in terms of Tests, he's one of the greats, and that's, you know, he understands that side a bit more, and it's not quite as haphazard and sort of, you know, he doesn't have to miss all these tours as head coach and stuff. Just concentrate on that, do the Test cricket, and I would love. Look, I'm not one of these people who thinks just going foreign for the sake of it is good. But the fact that these Indians are not even allowed to go and play in other leagues, which we'll get onto that in future episodes, but whether you agree with that or not, there needs to be some outside influence in this team. And I think that can only come from a foreign coach, because everybody's either too shit scared in India of the BCCI and Jay Shah to say anything or make any drastic changes, or they're just so much in that bubble of being in Indian cricket for so long that they can't see what's right in front of them. They need somebody from the outside to come in. I mean, you know, you'd love Gary Kirsten to come back, wouldn't you? But that's not going to happen. But just look what England have done. They've gone to the Australian women's head coach and brought him in, Matthew Mott. And he's come and said it doesn't have to be a massive name. It could be somebody who's worked in women's cricket, worked in junior cricket, but they've got to have the right ideas, the right philosophy, the right energy. And more importantly, India need to fix that captaincy situation and get somebody that works well with that new captain. I think there should be a new captain anyway. So that's what I think. I think bringing somebody from the outside, different pair of eyes, different perspective, and hopefully that can address a few of these issues. But look, we could be here forever and ever talking about India's problems in T20 cricket, but we'll be back soon anyway in a couple of days to look ahead to the New Zealand series, and also we'll have an episode looking at all the dhamaka from the IPL and what's the latest with all the squads there as well. But for now, thanks for joining us. See you soon.